All right, moving on. Next up, it's Christopher from Fayetteville. And Christopher writes, I'm changing jobs soon, and I realized in this process that the last 2 jobs I worked both had 401ks that I haven't done anything with. What are my options, and what do you recommend? And he writes in parentheses there, for reference, I'm 52, and the total of the 2 401ks is about $200,000. Christopher, thanks for your email and your question. And this is pretty common. There's a lot going on when somebody changes jobs, and sometimes the 401k is the last thing someone's going to think about. So we call them orphaned 401ks if they've been out there and left alone, and they can add up. And it is an opportunity to do something. So first, just strictly from an educational standpoint, Christopher, we'll tell you your 4 options. Sometimes people know these, sometimes people don't. But if you've left the job and you have a 401k sitting behind, and this would go with the one you're about to leave after you've left it and the one you said has been sitting back there for a while, you have 4 options. The first one, not a good one. Cash out. We would say right off the bat that there's way more cons than there are pros to that option, because if you cash out your 401k, guess what? It's all taxable. And guess what, Christopher? You're 52. You're going to get a 10% penalty on top of that for an early withdrawal because you're not 59 and a half. So cashing it out is likely not a really good option. You can leave it in the old plan, which is what you've done to this point. You can roll it into a new plan. Oftentimes, the new 401k you'll be eligible for at the new job will allow you to roll the old 401k into the new plan, or you could choose to roll it to an IRA. Now, the last 3 choices are not taxable. Leaving it there, rolling it to the new plan, or rolling it to an IRA will not be a taxable occurrence for you. So then it kind of becomes, what do I consider in those 3 choices?
So let's talk about even what type of account you might have. Even within your 401k, it is becoming more and more common for us to see a mixture of pre- and post-tax dollars. So you may have the ability if you were to consider rolling to an IRA, if you have that mixture of pre- and post-tax, then you're actually looking at rolling to 2 different types of IRAs, some of it going to a Roth and some of it going to a traditional IRA. A lot of people haven't really thought about that because they see it on one statement and they're thinking it's coming from one account, so it would go to one account moving forward. But there is that need to distinguish moving forward if you go the IRA route on how those dollars are treated tax-wise. Going back to the other 2 options of either leaving it in the old plan or moving it to the new plan, what we would encourage you to think about is a few different things. One of the keys, I think, is your proximity to retirement relative to what your investment choices are. And Scott, we've seen just the whole realm of possibilities on investment choices within the 401k. There are some that have, fewer than a dozen choices to invest in, and there are some that have quite a few. And sometimes those that appear to have a lot, really there's just a lot of redundancy built in there. So you really want to understand what those investment choices represent to you and whether it is where you need to be now relative to your approach to retirement.
Yeah, and I think another big thing, we've worked with some clients on these choices all the time, of course, and these are some things that they tell us, quite frankly, that they really want to think about is the consolidating of the accounts, right? You just mentioned, Christopher, that you have a couple of 401ks out there. Maybe you have some other investments. Maybe this is an opportunity to bring it all under one umbrella and to be able to see it all in one place, because as you begin planning for retirement, that can be a benefit to you. And then another thing I'll mention that one client told me just the other day was the service capability of this, right? I mean, I don't know where your 401k is, but there are a lot of big 401k companies out there or investment companies that offer 401ks. And we were told all the time by clients that they'll call an 800 number and they have to get a different person every time and they have to start over, right? And so the opportunity here to get it to an IRA, which you can do a self-directed IRA, it's the same place as many times as well. But if you were to roll it to an IRA and begin using a financial advisor that you have someone you can meet face-to-face and talk through your planning for retirement, I think that's something that is very valuable as well.
You know, I heard, and I can't quote the statistics on this on the numbers. I have to check this and circle back. But I did hear at this conference we just attended that millennials specifically are seeking financial advice at a far greater rate than their parents had. And I know, Christopher's not a millennial. He's in our age range. But this concept of seeking financial advice where previous generations really didn't. I think that people are beginning to catch on that we seek professional advice on all kinds of important things. If we're dealing with a legal issue, we seek out an attorney. If we're dealing with a medical issue, we seek out a doctor who can give us their professional opinions. And the reality is that the financial world is pretty complicated. I mean, this is what we do all day, every day, and knowing what we know from the inside, if I were from the outside looking in, I would not want to approach this without a professional coming alongside me. And like you said, Scott, it doesn't, even if you choose not to invest maybe with that financial advisor, even seeking them out for their advice, that is a possibility. I think a lot of people think that they have to place their investments with an advisor, and most people do choose to do that, but it's not a requirement. So right. Even just seeking out the advice, even if it's about, Christopher, what to do with the new 401k and how to allocate the dollars inside of that plan. I mean, most people get the packet when they get hired. It's like, here's your packet, fill it out and bring it back on Friday. And that's about all the coaching that they get on those investments. So just know that is available to you as a resource.
Yeah, and one thing we can mention too, to kind of put a bow on this conversation, is if you have kind of neglected those 401ks and your 401k contributions have maybe been on autopilot for the last several years, seeing that Christopher's 52, it's a good opportunity to talk to him and everyone else who may be listening that if you're turning 50 this year or you've already turned 50 in the past, you have an opportunity to take part in catch-up contributions in those 401ks too. The maximum the maximum you can contribute goes up after you turn 50. So there's an opportunity if you are behind on retirement, or even if you're not, to get more pre-tax dollars into your retirement plan.
And that can impact your match as well. So definitely take advantage of that opportunity.